Greetings, and welcome to When the Moment Chooses You. I am your host, Coach Charlene, and how is everyone doing today? Welcome to When the Moment Chooses You. What a journey it has been. In the month of May, I decided to do something that was so dear to my heart, which was to interview change agents and trailblazers about caring science. And this has absolutely continued as I'm even going out now. There's still other people that would love to share their transformative story on caring science. And so I am going to continue to do a couple stories a month about caring science, but I thought I would just take the time and from my perspective and from my transformation and my experience, share my story with you. Um, I love interviewing other people, and I don't necessarily I insert my story in there a little bit, but I want to just tell you the full scope of my story, especially when it's related to caring science. And so and I'm going to call this particular one the power and the impact of caring science. And so here I am. I go to nursing school, get out of nursing school, and about 10 years into my career, I start feeling this sense of restlessness, this slight irritation, slight frustration at times. And so I would override that feeling and just keep going. And you know how we're taught to keep going and keep grinding. And so I continue to do that. And then in 2010 is when a very significant moment that changed the trajectory of my life. I was a assistant nurse manager at the time, and I love my people. I'm coming to work. I'm doing my normal thing, but in that particular year, earlier in the year, I had noticed that I had start being very like frustrated about things, way more frustrated than normal, irritated about things that didn't bother me before began to start bothering me. And so I just kind of persevered through that, not really taking time to stop because when you're busy, and especially if you're a nurse leader in a hospital setting, you are extremely busy. And there is just no time to think sometimes. And so, I hurried along and continued doing what I was doing. But in 2010, my organization brought in Dr. Gene Watson, the science of caring, or caring science, the theory of caring. And it was, so we were all invited to go as nurse leaders. And as I sat there in that session, and I believe her name was Ann Foster, she was the first one that I heard actually speak about it. And it was so phenomenal. She shared that they had just gone to Boulder and experienced this session, and it was transformative. And now they were going to bring it to our facility. And so, as I sat there was something on the inside of me that awakened, like literally in that moment. And my ears became open, and my eyes became open to the theory of caring science. Because here's the deal: sometimes when you're so busy and you're so chaotic and you're moving from task to task doing your work, you don't really listen to the true essence of who you are. Now, what I love about caring science is that it gives you language to be who you truly were destined to be. See, I was always already practicing in that way because I absolutely love humanity. I love everything about touching other people's life, inspiring other people, and just encouraging and supporting and helping. So that's really what I saw at that time before, without unpacking it a little bit and getting more education. I was like, wow, I've been doing this already. So this feels really good to be able to have a language to describe what it is that we do at the bedside would be phenomenal. So, of course, I immediately raised my hand to be a Caritas coach. And so I went through a 6 month, extremely transformative experience. Now, I did not know what to expect, honestly. I've been through schooling, I've been through other classes and things like that. That was easy. I was able to really work on the outside. But caring science invites you to work on the inside. And I love this quote. It says, "Your life does not get better by change. By chance, it gets better by change." I got to say that right. Your life does not get better by chance, it gets better by change. And so I knew that this unrest that I had was something that I needed to pay attention to. But I was too busy to do that. But then here comes caring science that comes into my life and makes me slows down and goes through the 6 month process and really unpack some of the inside work that we all need. Now, I must tell you that even though I found something that awakened my spirit, there was still multiple challenges with doing it because I was a nurse leader and you are constantly busy doing your job. And so for me to carve out extra time to learn about this theory of caring was extremely challenging. My heart was already there and ready to fully immerse in, but the activities and my workload and everything else was telling me no. And even at that time, it wasn't as easy to get the support that you need so that you can do the work. And so I did not really care about that. I figured it out. I worked offline. I worked after work. I burned the midnight oil, whatever you want to call it. But this was something that I knew that I needed to do. It was a defining moment. And you see, there are sometimes these defining moments that there's something significant that I am supposed to be doing. And so that was my moment. And so I persevered. I did the 6 months and it was absolutely miraculously and miraculous. It doesn't want to come out, but it was miraculous. So I do that. I'm absolutely on fire. I'm just saying, I'm on fire. So I flew to Colorado for graduation. Now, as the Caritas coach, I was the only one. So it was very different because here I am, I'm awakened, I'm on fire, I'm ignited, I'm ready to go tell the world about caring science, tell my other peers about caring science, and just help them to transform because this feeling that I was having was so amazing and it so lined up with my core values of being the best and the highest expression of yourself. And so I was excited, went and I got ready to graduate. And I noticed because, when you open up your heart and you start doing the deep work that we all need to do so that we can be better versions of ourselves, um, the task is not going to be easy. I remember when I was down in Colorado and we were in class and see there was challenges that were going on within our peer group, our cohort. Um, and I remember we were sitting down in class because we had to go to the classes and you have to complete every class that you have to complete. And so I was like, okay, that's great. We noticed that there was one of our peers that was not there. And so everybody was starting to get concerned because she had gotten all the way until this last class and then she was not there. And so someone went up to try to find out where she was about 15 minutes into the class. And you guys come to find out that this young lady, she was curled up in a ball, grieving because she had just found out the news that she lost her best friend to the battle of cancer. And so she was distraught and she was alone and she was just by herself in there. And I'll never forget that because the peers went up to support and encourage, and they actually brought her back down because they wanted her to finish the race. And so I remember specifically, I was sitting there in the chair and they told us what happened. And I remember hearing a voice that said, "You have to pray for her." And so, guess what? I was like, okay, I will do that. I'm in this like interesting place, but I do hear that voice. And so I raised my hand and I said, Dr. Jean, can I pray for this young lady? And she's like, sure. And everybody was like, yeah. And we kind of surrounded her, just sent her. I prayed whatever came to my heart to pray. And it was so special. Now, I have to tell you, that's like totally out of my comfort zone. But my heart was so open after taking all the classes there. I was free to be who I was destined to be in that moment. That's what had needed to happen in that moment for me on my journey. And there's a great evangelist, and she says the journey to obedience is terrifying, but you have to go anyway. That was a terrifying moment for me. Here we are in this room full of Caritas coaches. We had Jean and we had Robert there because they were doing the Caritas Heart class. And here we are, I'm getting instruction from the divine to touch humanity in that way. And she was so grateful for me praying for her in that moment. And then we were able to continue on. She was able to stay in class and finish the journey with us. But okay, cool. Like after that, of course, I was sweating like crazy. And then we get toward the end of the class, hear this surge, this heat, this voice is coming again. And I was like, oh my gosh, I am going to get like totally kicked out of this program or something because this is crazy. But I've heard distinctly that I was supposed to pray for Dr. Jane Watson. And I was like, OMG, are you serious? And so I sat on that. I sat on that honestly, because there was no way I was getting ready to interrupt class and say, hey, by the way, I want to pray for Dr. Jane Watson. No, I was not going to do that. But I I then sat there and you guys, my shirt was becoming saturated because I was sweating like bullets because this urge, this voice was getting louder and louder because I was not really listening to it. And so I finally said, okay, I'll do it if there's a chance and they offer. But, we were rushing through class. And then I remember Dr. Jean says, oh my gosh, we're running out of time. We need to hurry. So I was like, okay, good. I'm off the hook. But that strong voice was still there. And then all of a sudden, she goes, is there anything else? And I was like, raised my hand. And she was like, yes. And I said, Dr. Jane, I'm supposed to like pray for you. And then she kind of jumped up and was like, okay. And anyway, she allowed me to do that. So I said, everybody stretch your hand toward Dr. Jean. And everybody just sent love toward her. We prayed. I prayed for her and I was obedient, but that was a terrifying journey for me. And there was much more to that story after that. But I felt like I could be free to be me in that moment for the need because I didn't know the need at that particular time. But the confirmation that that was really important really happened to show me that I was on the right journey to discovering the inner me, who I truly have been created and destined to be. And so that's what's really important about caring science. When we think about quality, we know that it's critical for us to deliver high quality care, person centered care. The quality is expected. Our patients come in and they expect to be taken care of to the top, to the scope of how quality how quality can be. Our highest quality of care, they deserve. And so that's like a no given. That's a no brainer. That's what they want. Now, what we've noticed is that sometimes our personal journeys can get in the way of delivering that type of care. And that's why Caring Science invites the caregiver to really take care of themselves first because as everybody always says, you can't pour from an empty cup. And also, you cannot give when you are empty. You cannot really be your unique, authentic self if you are struggling with anger and bitterness and compassion fatigue and whatever that word is. If you're struggling with that, because we truly are the healing environment, then you are not going to radiate what you need to radiate in that moment for that patient. They will get less of you if you have not done the work. And so that's why Caring Science invites you to really go deep within the trenches of your soul, the trenches of your heart, so that you can just begin to unbecome all of those things that are not you, all of those things that has caused you trauma, all of those things that you have held on to at the expense of your destiny. So, very, very important work. And we do that through Caring Science and the 10 Caritas process. And of course, I am a spiritual being, so I'm constantly working on myself to be the highest expression of myself. And I love Caritas process number 1, to practice loving kindness toward yourself first and then toward others. And yes, I'm talking about the meditating, I'm talking about praying, I'm talking about going on vacation, I'm talking about taking time for yourself, I'm talking about doing the exercise, I'm talking about eating healthy, I'm talking about pausing and making sure that you're doing breath work. I'm talking about all of that. But the deeper thing that I want to really talk about, because it helped me to transform to who I am today, is that inner work, that deep inner work that everyone, I believe, needs to do for you to have a free and authentic and satisfying and pleasing life. You need to go down deep into the trenches of all of the different things that you have held on to that have caused you to be someone that you're really not. See, there are sometimes life piles on layers of challenges in our life. I mean, it happens to all of us. Like I just shared in our Caring Science Academy graduation, that I lost two sisters within 2 years of each other. And one was only 44 and one was 55. And so that trauma was so, uh, I don't even have a word for that, but it was so heavy. But I still had to, in the midst of grief, go and deliver compassionate care to others. And so, how was I able to do that? I truly believe because I had done the work. See, I had unbecome that mindset of staying in grief and having the grief actually grip you and control your life. See, I was beyond that because I had done the work. Yes, grief still shows up because love is there, but I was able to go to work and do what I needed to do as my unique, authentic, loving self. And so we can get to a place where the challenges of life continue to flow, they continue to come, because change is going to happen regardless. But I tell you what, when you transform yourself, you change the very structure, the very core of who you are. I was looking up change versus transformation, and of course, change refers to a shift or alteration in the current state of something. It often implies a modification or an adjustment that may be incremental. But then transformation, on the other hand, is a profound or radical shift that fundamentally alters the nature, structure, and function of something. It is more comprehensive and deep rooted. It's leading to a new and significant different state. And it involves this rethinking, this shifting your mindset, this redesigning things. So, transformation is so critical for me to get through the different changes that are going to occur. You guys get that? So change is going to come. It's inevitable. But transformation is a choice. You have to choose. See, I had to choose as a nurse how I wanted to show up. even in the midst of my frustration and my unrest and things like that, I still had to protect my brand. And my brand is a brand of love and it's a brand of peace. When you leave my presence, you will feel love, peace, or inspiration. One of those three you're going to feel. And that is why I work so hard. And it's really not hard now. It's called discipline, delaying one's gratification. So instead of me going and doing something that's going to put junk into my mind, I like to do things that's going to empower me. I like to be inspired. I like to sit back and just think reflectively. I like to hear my own thoughts so that I can know where I am. I don't allow my mind to wander and go crazy and think of all of these crazy things. When I get the thoughts, because we all get the thoughts, I know how to cause those thoughts to surrender and to move out of my way. I know how to combat the inner critic that's within me, the voice, the negative voice that's telling me who I'm not or who I can't be. I like to combat that with Coach Charlene. Coach Charlene, the inner coach in me, is the one that really helps me to stay on course. If I do something that's scary, like many of you know already, I announced it on LinkedIn and at my job that I'm early retiring. I literally have 15 days before I am done with a 23 journey, which has been a wonderful journey. Um, Literally 23 years of service, 23 years of really making a difference and leaving an impact. And I know my years from 2010 to 2024 have been so profound because that's when I started my caring science journey. When I awakened, when I found me again after the burnout, after the drain, after the frustration, after wanting to leave the profession, 2010 was a game changer. And that's when Charlene found Charlene again. And then because it did such a transformative work in me, my desire was to push and to get this to more people. And so I continued on the journey. It was a lonely journey. So any Caritas coaches out there that feel like, oh my gosh, but I'm by myself, I feel like I can't do it. You can do it. I did it. I did it where I could. I would do breath work where I could. I would help people center before they enter. I would help people to really tap into themselves when I saw challenges coming. So, yes, you may feel like you're alone, but you are not. You have a whole community of Caritas coaches around the world that are doing the work, that know this is the right work to do. Because as I was talking earlier about quality, quality is an expectation. And really, care and compassion should also be an expectation. It should be an expectation. I think about the quadruple aim, and we actually have the quintuple aim now, but I love, absolutely love the care team well-being, which is the fourth aim, and the fifth aim is equity. So those two are my secret sauce. And so those I was drawn to, and that's where I actually insert caring science into those areas to impact those two particular areas. The care team well-being is critical. We all know that after 2020, because it was happening before, after 2020, nurses, healthcare professionals were not in a good place. I watched transformation take place of a whole system, of a whole organization. Now, is the system perfect? No, it's not. But I'm telling you, when you can ignite the fire within, you will not have to ignite the fire or put a fire underneath whoever it is that you're talking to. When I can get you, when I can go to the depths of your soul and touch your heart and encourage you to peel away the layers, to do the work that's been holding you hostage, to not hold on to your history, to not hold on to unforgiveness because you lock up your love flow. When I can get to your heart and get you to see, to actually open your eyes and see, it's a different ball game. It is a game changer because now The system may not have necessarily changed, but I have changed. I see things differently. I see my purpose. I see what it is that I'm supposed to contribute to humanity. So it is so, so powerful, you guys. So I wanted to also say now, that was 2010. I explained all of that with some gravy. Also, okay, we went through COVID-19. We went through systemic racism. We went through our own personal pandemics. I mean, literally, 2020 came with the bang and with the triple pandemic, and then some, probably. Because I didn't even talk about the weather patterns that were happening, the destructions that was going on with fires and things like that. So we have been through immense challenges. And one thing about 2020, 2021, 2022. Our nurses never stopped. Our healthcare teams, our physicians, our midwives, our techs, our frontline staff never stopped working. We continued on. And the challenge of continuing on is we had to continue on. We had to take care of our patients, but we recognize that post COVID, a lot of people suffer much moral injury, much burnout. And as we can see, we're seeing the statistics, we're seeing the data of the different things that are occurring right now with healthcare workers. And I'm excited about the care team well-being. Like that is like what's drawing me now. I served 23 years at KPSSC and absolutely deep gratitude. But in 2021, I believe, toward the end of the year, I start feeling that feeling again of unrest, of challenge, of like, okay, where's this irritation coming from? Where's this frustration coming from? What is going on here? But I was smart this time. I said, I'm going to take 3 weeks off. I took 3 weeks off, and it was so, so powerful that I was a different person when I came back. I got quiet. I got in prayer because that's my spiritual practice. And I remember finding this quote that I always throw all over my social media. It did not have a author from that quote on it, but it says, "You don't die when your heart stops beating. You die when your heartbeats have no meaning." And so I was like, oh my God, if this does not describe what I'm experiencing, what does? And so I recognize that post COVID, because we kept going and we kept going and kept, especially as a leader, as a nurse leader, you're like, they're just like taking everybody's problems and then yours as well. And you have the same concerns, you have the same challenges that everybody else is having, but you're responsible for a whole entire, I actually was responsible for 3 units. And so all of the emotion of that, because I had people coming into my office often just breaking down, just crying. I mean, just all of that. And so I recognize that, okay, you know what? We need to shift into this quadruple aim, the care team well-being. And it is enough not focusing on the caregiver, which I believe that I saw organizations do in a great way. They really start asking the questions, getting input from staff to see what would make this better. And I love that my leadership, where I was a part of it at SSC, really leaned in and they actually asked the question because, it's very important. This is a real gem and a nugget for organizations or leadership in organizations. You need to go hear from the people that are doing the work. You know, you have to hear what's going on from them because I appreciate that my CNE was able to say, hey, this is what's going on. I just feel like we need to be, I mean, what can we do? And I was so grateful that they actually wanted to know or insight. And I was able to share some insight that I thought would help. And so I am just very, very excited that now we are on such a journey. And most of you guys know where I am currently at Southside Kaiser. Yay, yay. Magnet with distinction. And we're doing some great things. But you guys, I have to tell you, to experience and to watch. What I watched was miraculous. I saw healthcare workers that were burnt out, that were, I mean, I'm talking about you can see it on everyone's faces. We could see it. It was palpable. The moral injury that was suffered, the stress that was there, the burnout that was current. We saw it and it was palpable. And then we began to start doing things. I noticed that CNE began to start getting things structured and getting the staff more engaged. And we saw transformation happen in a significant way through our Caring Science Academy that we co created. And it was phenomenal. The first class that we did had so many powerful stories. I mean, stories that really had us all in tears of all of the pain that our teens were going through, and to be able to actually make a difference and to help someone to want to live again. It's absolutely profound. Want to stay in the profession, want to do whatever they can to get the fire back is just absolutely miraculous. So, anyway, what if I wanted to sum this up with Coach Charlene's top three, I would actually say curing science, or the power of curing science, is a theory that can ignite you. It can light a fire within you that causes you to be your true, authentic self, as well as light other people as you learn the theory yourself. I would say inspire is inspirational because it will cause you to be the brand. The brand that I like to talk about is my brand is love. So I am going to, when I come across the threshold of my place, of my workplace, of my room, you're going to feel the presence of love because I've been doing the work, right? And then the third one, I would say impact. The impact was hands down amazing. Everybody saw the impact. Everyone felt the impact. Everyone that experiences going through Caring Science Academy or Hurt Math or something like that, that we were doing, the wellness things that we did, people became better. People peeled off the layer of our past trauma of COVID 19 and they became better people. They were on fire and they were leading the charge. The front line were off the hook. I saw them transform. I wish I can. The depiction that I see right now is a wilted flower, and I saw that those wilted flowers get poured into, and then they became strong, healthy, vibrant flowers that are transforming themselves from the inside out, which has absolutely shifted the culture from the inside out. So, you, if you're out there and you don't know anything about caring science, I encourage you to really look into it. I'm not saying caring science is the only one. I'm just sharing my story of the impact that it made in my life and all of the people that I'm surrounded with. To see the transformation is priceless. And so, thank you so much for listening. We had powerful sessions. Please go back and listen and share it with people. People will be inspired to hear these type of stories. And I only gave a tidbit of what my experiences have been with Caring Science. So, thank you so much for listening, and I will see you on the next episode. I want to thank you for tuning in to another inspiring episode of When the Moment Chooses You. I'm your host, Coach Charlene, and it's been an absolute pleasure. Each journey we've shared today is a reminder that when the moment chooses you, the possibilities are endless.